The Verizon IndyCar Series is always working hard to enhance the fan experience, and today we see the implementation of a new piece of technology that's very visible and helpful. And with more on IndyCar's new track lights system, here's Jan Vikas.
Certainly one of the drivers' favorite tracks on the circuit, and it just ribbons through these beautiful Mid-Ohio hills. Turn 1 is very challenging, probably the most difficult corner on the track. You could lose it easily at the exit. Passing zone is down there in turn 4. That's the easiest place to pass here. Pretty fast as you go up over the hill and then through Thunder Valley. And then turn 9, probably one of the most difficult corners on the track because it has a big step off at the exit just as you're trying to put the power down. And I think one of the forgotten corners, turn 11, is very tricky because it's off camber. It's bumpy at the apex and you have to turn very early in order to stay on line. The groove is narrow there.
Some good key spots to look for on this short but very challenging Mid-Ohio circuit. The grid for today's Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio brought to you by Mothers, and it's a Dixon power front row. The last time Scott Dixon started on the pole here, he won. Going back to row 3. And you've got to find Joseph Newgarden there with a great qualifying performance, and a former winner again, Charlie Kimball, who made the Firestone Fast 6. David, as we roll through this grid, who jumps out at you? We've spoken so much about Mr. Mid-Ohio, Scott Dixon. Who else are you looking at? Are you looking at JPM, the points leader, back in 10th, or guys further back like Marco Andretti?
Marco Andretti should be in with a good shot there. Jack Hawksworth has been very quick all weekend too. That grid position doesn't really show. And there's poor old Graham Rahal, second in the championship, down there on row 7, not where he wants to be, and as we said, he has no help. Simon Pagenaud missed out a lot of practice with an engine problem. Takuma Sato was quick early on Friday, but sort of tailed off as the weekend went on. Townsend, you were saying to me a little earlier that somebody like Simon Pagenaud could pit early, calculate the time right, get out in front if Dixon continues to lead, and bring Dixon back to field. Yeah, I mean, Pagenaud's out of the championship hunt, so he's a floater, and I think Roger Penske can use him as he needs to today, strategically in the race or on pit lane. Spectacular day here at Mid-Ohio, and we're not far away from going racing. There you see the new track lights on the side of Ryan Briscoe's Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports Honda, and we say thanks to Lucas Oil for bringing us this view. So many spectacular onboards. Up front, the pole position man, Scott Dixon. Verizon brings us this view and a whole lot more. For Tony Kanaan, his Chip Ganassi teammate, with thanks to NTT Data for giving us this view. We'll see what TK can do, and Graham Rahal has all of Ohio riding on board the Steak and Shake machine for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, and Charlie Kimball, a winner here just 2 years ago at Mid-Ohio, with thanks to Novolog, gives us this view. What a quick reminder about Verizon streaming as we ride with Juan Pablo Montoya, the championship leader. It's adrenaline on demand. Download the IndyCar 15 mobile app to get amazing live streams from in-car cameras and a whole lot more, only from Verizon. Now, Mid-Ohio is one of those unique places where the start isn't at the start-finish line. The start here is always exiting turn 2, heading down the back straight. There's more room for everybody there, and it's a little safer. Race director Brian Barnhart wants them to pack. Do we see green? We do! And I'm surprised they threw the green. Will Power's going to get jumped by 4 or 5 guys. Let's see what he does down here. Bourdais to the outside. Bourdais nearly slammed into Scott Dixon and almost squeezed through up to the inside, but grabs second place. Newgarden goes high around the white line and ducks through on the inside and pounces on Power. We've seen no starts at 2 races so far this year. I don't know how you throw the green at that, David. I mean, Will Power was back to 3rd. Will Power's back to 3rd. Scott Dixon was about 2 car lengths in front of everybody. Luca Filippi on the inside of Charlie Kimball. Whoa, then they touch wheels. Heading up to turn 11. Townsend said you got to look for this spot. You have to turn very early, like Charlie Kimball did not. He got a little bit of the wash from Filippi's car, almost missed the groove and went off at the exit. Dixon has taken off. Scott Dixon leaves that challenge from Sebastian Bourdais in the KVSH team. Then Elio Castro-Neves, Joseph Newgarden, and Power from the front row back to 5th. Oh, Will Power is going to be furious about that. He was right where he wanted to be in terms of on the front row, but it all went wrong as Dixon got a great jump on the field. Tony Kanaan, Juan Pablo Montoya going at it. Ryan Hunter-Ray recovering from that warm-up crash this morning. His Andretti Autosport team did a superb job to get that car fixed, get it out, ready for the race. And look at that, Dixon already has a 1.3 second lead. Well, Scott Dixon has been so quick all weekend, and that corner we just look at, turn 2, is where he really excels, and it's the most important corner here because it leads you onto that long straight. The end of the straight, wow, that was pretty close there. Stefano Coletti and James Jakes, Hobo going wheel to wheel.
And that corner 4, that's where all the overtaking goes on. So you've got to make a really good job of turn 2.
It's one of the great things about Mid-Ohio is if you run side by side, you're trading the advantage from corner to corner.
I'll tell you what, another thing this afternoon is going to affect these guys. It is very, very hot. And this is a very physical circuit, 2.2 miles, 14 curve, and I mean, it really, really is.
Amount of green flag running, very few cautions over the last few years here at Mid-Ohio. And without that break, to get a drink, to relax your arms a little bit, it's going to wear these guys out.
It's going to be very tiring.
Pit window opens at around lap 6 to 27. Most will go around 24 or so. Joseph Newgarden, wheel to wheel here with Will Power. Power did not get a good start. Newgarden did. Power's on track.
Trying to go around the outside, that's slipping away. Here comes Ryan Hunter-Ray as they go over the crest of that nasty hill.
Two guys who fought over the championship. Will Power, Ryan Hunter-Ray. And Power is just staying out of trouble.
Charlie Kimball.
Talk about a yellow. We're about to see one right now for Charlie Kimball. He was racing hard with Luca Filippi right from the green. Filippi had jumped up 4 positions. So he's been one of the biggest movers of the race along with Carlos Munoz. But this is a Mid-Ohio race winner beached.
Oh boy, yeah, that's not a good start for Charlie Kimball. We were talking to him the other day and he seemed very, very confident.
It looks like he's got a flat left rear to me.
There goes Power. He's chasing Luca Filippi. Did Power tag him and cut that tire down?
It looked like they might have touched, but yeah, look at that.
Boy, I think you're right.
No weight on the right front. You could see the right front was unweighted, which suggests that diagonally the left rear was flat.
Boy, oh boy, you got eyes like Steve Matchett.
He must have just nicked.
Boy, it was a just too. I mean, absolutely just got him.
And that's what sent Charlie Kimball spinning into the gravel trap. So
now we're going to be, I think, near the pit window here. We're at lap 4 under caution. It's going to take a lap or two to get to lap 6. So we could see the tail end of the field all take the chance, knowing how hard it is to pass here and dive to pit road.
Depends how long, of course, this situation lasts, because obviously that adjusts the pit window going under the caution.
So as the Holmatro safety crew grab Charlie Kimball and get him out of there and help him on his way under our first full course yellow of the race. Charlie's pretty hot in there, so just start me up and get me out of here. This situation will be resolved. You're watching CNBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger, and proud sponsor of the number 15 and Graham Rahal. Problem resolved here at Mid-Ohio. Charlie Kimball and his Novolog Flex Pen Chip Ganassi Chevrolet has been collected and sent on its way as he makes his way slowly back. We're under yellow. I want to take you back to the start, and Townsend, you were taken by surprise, and so too you, David, by thought they weren't quite packed up correctly.
Well, I think the aerial shot that we had at the start can help us because we can see the cones, and the cones really determine here. We'll look at it from several different angles. We're on board with Briscoe, and you can see the field. I mean, they're well gone early, I think, there.
It is
But,
wild.
I mean, normally IndyCar's looking for side-by-side good pair-up before they throw the green flag. But let's take a look on board with Graham a little further up the field.
This
Again, pretty single file there by the time they get to start-finish.
This flat-out run.
Whoa.
Look at him dive in there. That
Nice
was good
job
work
there by Rahal.
He knew he had to make quick work of it. Tucks in there behind one Pablo Montoya. Jack Hawksworth there to his right-hand side. Not much room to move, is there? Here we go with JPM, points leader.
And you can see JPM was already on the radio button, presumably complaining about an early start.
Look at that, 3 wide, and there was a little bit of contact there between Tony Kanaan and Ryan Hunter-Ray. Here comes Hawksworth on the outside of Montoya. Up ahead it was frantic, and then Kanaan, check this out. Here comes Luca Filippi. He's made up more positions than anyone in this race so far, the Italian. In the 20 for CFH Racing. Kanaan goes down the inside. That's what made it 3 wide.
And that's what Tony Kanaan is so famous for and so good at, is knowing where you can push on some of the starts here in IndyCar. He's made up so many positions that way as we're on board with Charlie Kimball now. Kimball looking up the outside of Castroneves in power.
Ooh, that avenue was taken away for Joseph Newgarden by Castroneves. Elio just eased over to that right-hand side of the track and defended down into turn 4. Just what makes, wow, Will Power.
Will Power looked very loose there.
And loose again through 6 as they head into madness. This is Felipe muscling Charlie Kimball out of the way. Watch this. Felipe's not done with yet. Round here into turn 9, he forces his way through, and this is what it looked like. The rear view from the leader. Watch how good Bourdais is here. That was a nice move, and he knew he had to try and pounce early. Try and get that advantage, David.
Well, he certainly did bounce early.
All right.
Made a very good job of it.
So now what I'm looking for is where are the cones. Didn't really get to show the speed that we knew he all had. And now with him running up front, he's showing what he's made of as Montoya is defending Hawksworth.
And Jack Hawksworth has roughed Montoya up in the past. You remember on the streets of Houston last year. Hawksworth is not afraid of the former F1 and NASCAR driver. Oh, by the way, Jack, he is the championship leader as well.
Yeah, but Jack Hawksworth is having a great weekend, I think. He showed very strong yesterday.
And I think Montoya has got to start thinking now about pressing. Yes. He's been defending that championship lead for quite a while. As we sit right now, his lead in the championship would only be 16 points over Dixon as they run. Justin
Wilson is starting to get in the mix of things here. He and Marco Andretti, Graham Rahal. Rahal's made up 2 spots since his starting position. The Steak and Shake machine, huge hometown support here. And a little further up the road is Will Power. Tell us more.
Will told me before the race, we can still win this championship, but we need to win races, and that's severely been damaged right now.
At the moment, Power is almost 6.5 seconds behind Scott Dixon, the man he started on the front row with. There's the race leader.
They have such a good handle, the Ganassi team, on the balance here, not just on new tires, not just in qualifying pace, but over the race stint. As we saw with Charlie Kimball, Dario, and of course Scott Dixon, their ability to manage the tire wear and maintain a smooth, consistent balance is really the best in the field.
And take you back to something that just transpired not long ago. Check this out on board with Graham Rahal. Watch this. Whoop, 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 whoop. Up and over and down through Thunder Valley. That is not a place you want to go off, and look at Justin Wilson.
Good Lord, into that turn 11 that you were talking about, this one right here, where the road falls away, and Justin Wilson's not giving up.
And Graham Rahal's right rear just clipped the left front end fence of Justin Wilson, so doesn't look like that harmed the car like it did for Charlie Kimball earlier, but good close racing here.
Dixon 2.5 seconds on Bourdais, Castroneves, Felipe, Hunter Ray 5th, Power, Newgarden, Canaan. We're looking at Montoya, and then in 10th is Jack Hawksworth.
Now, one thing that I think Penske has to think about is Pagenaud's now 14 seconds back of Dixon, up some of Dixon's pace, because everybody's going to be concerned about Dixon just running away with this thing.
And Pagenaud's not going for the championship.
No.
He's too far back. Well, mathematically he's not too far back, but technically. Kev?
And you're right, Townsend, that is the tentative plan for Simon Pagenaud. They have a really good car. They got off to a slow start to the weekend. They lost an engine, so really didn't have much practice time until they went into qualifying as we ride along with Graham Rahal. But expect them to come in early and not make it a 4-stopper, but just do different timing with a
He had to start way back in 21st. They think by coming in just for fuel this time that they can make it a little bit longer than the rest of the guys and work their way up to the front.
Talented rookie. Had an interesting run a little while ago when he raced in a midget in Indianapolis. I'll tell you more about that a little later in that red Steak and Shake car we ride on board with now. Andretti and Pagenaud behind.
And this gives you an idea of just how difficult it is. Here's your turn 11, where it does fall off alarmingly towards the end. And this 12 here is also a tricky little corner with a big bump right there. And out round the last corner, then into turn 1, which is extremely fast. So setup here on these cars is you want the car to rotate, because cars like 12, 9, 2, especially 6, you really want the car to rotate through the corner. You don't want it pushing, but boy, you don't want it rotating at turn 1.
And you see the 8.3 on the side of Justin Wilson's Andretti Autosport Honda. With the new track light system, it will actually give you the pit stop time. Very cool.
It is very cool. It's great for us to see so clearly the pit stop time, and also for the fans who have turned out in big numbers here at Mid-Ohio. Just a spectacular day, and it's great to see the fans respond by voting with their feet.
For former team owners, Kim Green and Kevin Savory, who now own this facility, run this facility, done great. It's been a huge weekend. Pirelli World Challenge was here as well. Their races and all of the road to Mazda Road to Indy categories competing as well. So it's been a phenomenal weekend here at just one of the most enjoyable places. Just the plot of land, the property is gorgeous. The rolling hills of Mid-Ohio, a place where this guy, Scott Dixon, has treated it like his playground. He's got 2.3 seconds over Bourdais. Bourdais not letting him get away. And this is Rahal.
Graham Rahal said his team has to pull off another win this season in order to have a shot at his very first championship. They're just going to throw on a set of new reds and fill it up with Sunoco fuel, Jan.
And same for Takuma Sato. That was a 7.3 second stop for him. He's gone for sticker reds. Remember, this is his 100th IndyCar start, and he wants to have a good result.
He can't believe that he is at that milestone. He said it's just gone so fast, gone by so fast. So many people have helped him, and it's a thrill and an honor for him to be still in the Verizon IndyCar Series driving for the legend, AJ Foyt.
I just find it inconceivable.
The pits, they are working overtime to try and manage the balance.
Think about the fact that he's had 90 Formula One Grand Prix starts. Now he's racked up 100 IndyCar starts. That is a career. Here's Pagenaud.
As we mentioned, Simon Pagenaud was going to go off strategy. He comes in early, still going to be a 3-stop race. They started on the primaries. The alternate Firestones get just as much life as the primaries, so you want to spend as much time on the reds as you possibly can. Pagenaud back out now, hoping for some luck.
Pretty decent stop too at 6-7.
Yeah.
That was
there's
nice.
Scott Dixon. So
Juan Pablo Montoya, and if Montoya has any sort of an issue in the race, that gap will close down. Bourdais still running strong.
Don't want to demoralize the rest of the field, but every time that Scott Dixon has led a lap here, he's won.
Apart from that,
leave it to you to bring out the demoralizing stuff.
Will Power has had issues early on, and they are going to change the nose cone, so they will adjust and address that damage after the contact which Power was warned for early in the race. So this is going to be a longer stop under green flag conditions. You see the pit clock, it's about 8 or 9 seconds longer than normal. Power is back out as Marco Andretti, who also pitted, gets out right in front of him. And the reason, Kevin, that he shot around the outside, he made a quicker stop, and Marco Andretti has gone with some scrub rev tires, and now Joseph Newgarden saw that, but they've made a quick decision that they want to go for stickers. So Newgarden, one of the top runners.
There is significant debris on the racetrack, and this is not going to pan out well for those. As we went to the break, Jan, I mentioned the top 8 were yet to pit. That's not going to advantage them at all.
No, in fact, I was going to say, just before we went to the commercial, we look at the replay first of what brought out this caution. When there is a caution period and the top 8 drivers have not pitted, they're going to lose all that track position. So all these early people that we saw hit pit road, they're going to get a free pass up to the front with track position. The leaders will stop, but they'll give up all those hard-earned positions.
And that really helps Montoya and Rahal.
Yeah, big time. As we were going to the break, Pablo Montoya was just heading to pit lane, so he pitted on lap 20. All right, let's see who heads to the pits. Let's see who stays out. The answer is pretty straightforward there. A lot coming, but the likes of Charlie Kimball, Juan Pablo Montoya, Graham Rahal, who we just mentioned, did not.
Sebastian Bourdais was trying to keep pace with Scott Dixon, so he was saving fuel, but he was losing a lot of ground on him. This yellow helps him. They put on some scuffed reds to help him hopefully get some grip. Jan?
Luca Filippi has a little bit of a hard time. He had a great pit stop, but had a little bit of a hard time getting going, but he maintains his spot. Off pit road, it was Scott Dixon beating everyone. Then Helio Castroneves next. Sebastian Bourdais went third. Of note, Scott Dixon is using this stint to go to his primary black Firestones. Most of the others up front going on the sticker reds.
Won't ever hear us talk about that on an oval in the Verizon IndyCar Series, but on road and street courses you must use the 2 tire compounds provided by Firestone, and they are the black and the reds. You only see the reds when it's qualifying time, that softer compound of tire. You must run at least, you must run both of them at least once during the race. So, we asked the question right at the beginning of the show, who or what could beat Scott Dixon, Mr. Mid-Ohio here today? Is it going to be this caution?
Well, it's the circumstance that you can't control, and Scott Dixon knows that. He has no control over when a full course caution comes out. Now, the advantage goes to Montoya and Rahal, because you've got Kimball is up there, but he's 2 laps down. I don't expect Gonzalez probably to have the pace to hold off those guys, but this guy right here, that was a huge break for him. He was running down in about 9th. His championship lead at that point would have been down to about 18 points. Now it's back up to a 47-point lead as they run. So big break for Montoya. Great news for Graham Rahal, who had already pitted. And now Dixon has to stay out of trouble on the restart and wait for the next opportunity to exercise his pace.
And Juan Pablo had only just stopped, literally on the lap it all happened. So he has got the best fuel and the best tires from everybody. He just stopped.
When the checkered flag falls here today at Mid-Ohio, there are only 2 events left in the 2015 calendar for the Verizon IndyCar Series. Next up, it will be the final oval, and that comes your way Sunday, August 23 at 2 o'clock Eastern from Pocono. And that's presented by MAV TV. Indy Pocono, it is the 15th and second to last round of this year's championship, 500-miler. Oh, and by the way, the championship leader this year was the victor last year, Juan Pablo Montoya. Fastest 500-mile race ever he put together. So, put yourself in Montoya's shoes. You've had a tough weekend, and all of a sudden, you get gifted this one.
Well, right now you're managing. Now he's back to 47-point lead in the championship, so he's managing it. But earlier we heard something out of Scott Dixon's radio.
Scott, the one thing we're a little worried about, you can check it now. Check your speed limiter, make sure it's working. But we lost the right front wheel speed. We just want to make sure it defaults to the rear.
So that was Mike Hall talking to Scott Dixon about their pit speed limiter. It goes off of wheel speed, and it sounds like they lost a wheel speed sensor on the front, and the software should default to the rear. So they're going to make sure that that's working.
Kev?
John Bosla calls the strategy for Juan Pablo Montoya. You said you didn't want to do any.
Eddie Jones, the new engineer there, and the whole team have done a super job. This is not what AJ Foyt wanted to see, not what Larry Foyt wanted to see. After that contact between Takuma Sato and Stefano Coletti. What did you make of that, by the way?
I didn't quite see enough of it to really make a call there, but, you know, with all that side-by-side racing in that section, you certainly can have contact. Now, let's not forget in all of this, too, you've got Tristan Vautier, who's going to be leading with Dale Coyne on the restart. He pitted on lap 4 with this extended yellow. He could be in pretty good shape. Jan?
Sarah Fisher, they lost just a slight bit of time on pit road, but the fact that they stopped early, they're back in the game.
And just to paint the bigger picture there for you, what Jan and Sarah Fisher were talking about is that there have been inquiries as to the future of Joseph Newgarden, 24-year-old American, super talented, and he's now a 2-time IndyCar race winner. He's 8th in the points and will be a contender here again today. Everybody who has come out to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course has been treated to some spectacular weather this weekend, and to see a crowd like this to watch IndyCar racing. And I mean, IndyCar racing at its best. Some of the races we have seen this year, David, have been phenomenal.
Absolutely outstanding, and this is a huge crowd. Mid-Ohio is a great place to watch a race from. The weather's perfect, the track's great, and you can see so much of the track. So this is a good, really good push for IndyCar racing. I think there's such a good turnout as this.
Tristan Vautier for Dale Coyne Racing, Charlie Kimball for Chip Ganassi Racing, Juan Pablo Montoya for Roger Penske, Team Penske. Ready to go. They're your top 3, and then Rodolfo Gonzalez. So 2 of the Coyne cars in the top 4. Jan, what do you have before we go back to green?
Hey, when you go to the restart, keep an eye on the cars that have reds versus blacks. You heard that Scott Dixon went to blacks. Ryan Hunter-Reay said, why do we go to blacks if there's a restart? That'll be a problem if you don't have red.
Defensive line, and watch Montoya sweep around the outside if he's close enough. Drag race down the turn 4. Vautier will hold them off.
Kimball had a great jump and was looking up the inside, and Vautier closed the door.
Around the outside goes Graham Rahal. Top 2 in the championship are right with each other. And Wilson goes around.
And Justin knows he's got the advantage. No championship implications for him, and he took full advantage of that around the outside.
That's a lad from Yorkshire, brought up on good old Yorkshire pudding and showing his muscle here at Mid-Ohio. That's my boy.
That bump there in turn 12 seems to be getting worse and worse, but it keeps everybody and gets their focus for sure. Charlie Kimball scrapping, trying to get a lap back after he lost it earlier by being beached in the gravel trap. Justin Wilson will be looking to get past him and get up into the lead of this race.
Because Juan Pablo Montoya, talk about sitting in the catbird seat. I mean, he doesn't have to win this race.
Oh, and he knows that. I mean, if you look at the top,
cruise around, and
if you look at the top 5 in the championship, Montoya has led the least amount of laps all season, and I think because he's played the game so well, Kevin.
We thought Juan Pablo might have something for Vautier at the start. As you mentioned, Kimball trying to get some laps back. I don't think Juan Pablo's too happy with his teammate a couple of laps down at this point. You're right, he knows he doesn't have to win, but circumstances have presented that opportunity. It looked like he was in the catbird seat, but he has said, we're not going to do anything wild. We're not going to try to be a hero. We just need to run the race like we normally do and take what is given to us. Right, for a little while, though, it looked like he might have been given an opportunity to win.
Now, although it wasn't a move for position, it was a move to try and get a lap back, and that's we're talking about Charlie Kimball, who's 2 laps down. And this man here, Tristan Vautier, has been warned, Townsend, for this, for blocking.
Let's watch. A little bit of a clip there to the left front wing. Now, one of the unique elements of Mid-Ohio is that the back straight is not straight. There's a kink in the road, and the racing line is there at the apex as we're on board with Ray Hall.
Look to the left. Watch Justin Wilson. Not 1, but 2 in turn 6 at Mid-Ohio. You don't often see that.
That's a twofer around the outside of turn 6. You very rarely see that.
So what's
and
in
he did that on the cold tire, so he just felt a bit braver there.
What is in that Yorkshire pudding as we watch? Gonzalez put a move on Pagano.
And in behind, getting a good look at that, was Will Power. Marco Andretti's ready to pounce as well. Do you remember Toronto? Gonzalez led some laps, and he was a tough customer to get behind the race leader in 12th.
And here we are with Dixon, and now the biggest challenge is how do you get by? Because this is Mid-Ohio, they're taking dirty air, or giving you dirty air in front, and there's no chance for Dixon to exercise his pace when he's buried in the field like that. It neutralizes Dixon's advantage across the board.
Because these cars are so ultra competitive, there is absolutely no time gap between the pole and the back of the field, really. So when you're racing out there together, you know, your lap times are about the same. Now this is, you know, his opportunity down into turn 4.
Now listen to him work and the car at work. Talk about finding your rhythm. You've really got to do that here.
Yeah, and you can really hear how excellent the car is set up in terms of how Scott Dixon lays the power down. So smooth, no wheel spin, and he's just going to try to conserve his tires, save as much fuel as he can so he can leapfrog him on the pit stops.
Pagano's been unable to dispose of Gonzalez. A little further back, Chavez. There is Dixon in behind. Is Team Penske's Elio Castro Neves, another championship contender. And then behind is Bourdais. All 3 of those guys have run a very good race today. Just unfortunate with the timing of that second full course yellow.
Pagano just having a good job to get past Gonzalez.
Let's go back to the restart. Check this out.
So watch here in the upper corner, that lighter IndyCar track light system goes to PP, which means push to pass. Now, IndyCar has taken away the ability for us to see it on timing and scoring, but PP suggests, David, push to pass, right?
Something like that. Tristan Vautier is holding these guys off now. Everybody's tires are up to temperature. Now they're all lapping at sort of very, very similar speeds, but look at that. Going to stop pretty soon.
Any changes? Any changes? No, don't shoot.
He's on a significantly different strategy to the others. Vautier pitted on lap 4 of this 90-lap race. We're now racing lap 31. Those behind are in much better shape. His teammate pitted on the same lap as well. So,
well, Vautier is trying to do what Scott Dixon did last year. He started dead last, and now he's leading.
On board with Charlie Kimball, who was very much in the mix until it all went away very early in this race when he got tagged by Will Power and sent into the gravel trap. Let's head to the Ganassi camp. Here's Kev.
I call calling strategy for Scott Dixon. Last year he got the break with the time yellow. Horrible luck so far this year. Now, how is the car as he tries to make his way back through the field?
Well, we're kind of treading water at the moment, just trying to get to the next stop here so we get red tires on the car and try to find a gap on the racetrack. We'll probably come as soon as we can.
Yeah, you're right. This is the black tire stint, so they want to make this one soon. So watch for Scott Dixon to try to turn the luck back in his favor by pitting and then get a caution to cycle back up to the front.
Well, I think that answers our question on tires. Everybody's going to run the blacks just once.
Yeah, exactly.
And try to get back on reds and run the majority of the race on reds as we see Vautier continue to work the lead and try to stretch his fuel as long as he can.
Tristan has not done the entire season, but he's been a really good fit there at Dale Coyne Racing. He's done a nice job. He works away. Pretty sure he'll be in for the remainder of the season. Unsure about next year. Very talented young French driver.
And pretty cool of Dale Coyne to put a young, deserving driver in for the season. They're light on sponsorship, but I think Dale Coyne knows, hey, I've got to show performance with my team, and Vautier has demonstrated what Dale Coyne Racing is capable of. And there comes the call.
And who else was a very deserving, talented driver who used to drive for Dale Coyne? The man chasing him, Justin Wilson for Andretti Autosport. So the 19 car will move out of the way. Justin Wilson will inherit the race lead. However, he has 8 laps. Lettier leaves will be in the top 3 in this race. On board with Ray Hall. Let's enjoy the ride.
Unless I'm like really on Montoya, I'll use one, but I mean I only have 3 laps, that's not good.
I think he's referring to his push to pass.
Yes.
So he's used a lot of them. If he only has 3 left, he's been pretty aggressive, and he had to be. He started deep down in the field. He was going to do everything he could to get himself to the front of this field.
Again, Graham Rahal saying, if I'm close enough to Montoya, I may use one. However, until then I'll save my 3. Okay.
Tristan Vautier has been with Dale Coyne Racing since the Indianapolis 500. Last time him and Rodolfo Gonzalez were teammates. Rodolfo also, trouble for Tristan Vautier on the left front of that car. They're hoping to get him some experience out front, but a long pit stop, he'll go straight to the back, Lee.
Not good there for Tristan Vautier. So Justin Wilson cycles through to be our new race leader. The lanking Englishman leads the way. Montoya, Rahal, Newgard and Pagenaud in the top 5. Will Power, Marco Andretti, Gabby Chavez, James Jakeson, Scott Dixon, the pole sitter, runs 10th at the moment. Chase is on not only in this race, but in this championship. Graham Rahal came into this event 42 points behind.
He showed extremely well in a completely foreign discipline to him.
You know, speaking of opportunity, there's, I think, 6 Indy Lights drivers that are all going to have a chance to do their first IndyCar test at Sonoma coming up in the next couple of weeks. There's a good chance at the next level at Sonoma. For
Team Penske, for instance, you mentioned Spencer Pigot, who's an Indy Lights winner. He'll be in a Penske machine along with Nelson Piquet Jr., former F1 driver and a Formula E champion, GRC driver as well. You're going to have Sean Rahal, who's an incredibly talented driver. Ed Jones will be in for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. Rahal, by the way, will be in at Ganassi. Jack Harvey in for Schmidt, and Matthew Brabham will drive for Andretti. So well done to all of those young guys getting a shot. Obviously, Piquet Jr. is incredibly accomplished, but for the other younger guys making their way through the open wheel ranks, it's a massive opportunity. Take you back and show you something that has just happened. The view from Graham Rahal's car. Look at that. That's just, is that just gravel on the track?
Looks like a stone or a rock that turned into 10 or 15.
Boom.
I think it's come from Pluto.
I think I saw Luke Skywalker in a similar situation in the original Star Wars movie there. A lot of debris coming off.
How about Honda and Justin Wilson and Andretti Autosport? 1.8 seconds out in front of Juan Pablo Montoya. Montoya's got a second on this guy here, Graham Rahal. And then we look back to Joseph Newgarden. He's under 4 seconds behind the race leader and in good shape. However, Montoya is in the best shape as far as fuel. Pitting at the right time, a little bit of luck there, and Dixon's in. You heard The general manager of Chip Ganassi Racing, Mike Hull, say we're going to come in as soon as we can, Kev.
And he's not also only been wanting to get off of the primary Firestones and get back to the alternate quicker and just as long-lasting alternates, but he's also been wanting to get out of traffic. He's been saying, I can't get anywhere, I can't go. We'll see if the car is now more to his liking with a very good pit stop for Scott Dixon.
Now I'm out on my own. I've got clear air coming across the front of the car. Let me go to work.
Yeah, this is a crucial corner, you know. It's turn 2, long right-hander, almost 180 degrees.
And look at how approaching the halfway mark in this race. We're already racing lap 39 of 90. We've had 2 full course cautions so far. Here's Kanan and Ryan Hunter-Reay on track, and RHR dives for pit lane. The Iowa winner. And he'll be following suit, I imagine, as to what Scott Dixon here. Get rid of those black wall tires, put some of the reds on, and get out after it.
1.
And the window is just open for him to be able to do so, just like Scott Dixon. So he's going to take advantage of this. He wishes he did not have that at the time. They have repaired this car after the crash. 9-second stop for him. I'll also tell you, when you see those LED displays, you've been seeing PP, and there goes Dixon flashing by. Townsend, you were talking about the fact that teams do not know how many they have. They haven't in the past. Today they do. For some reason, the data is showing up on the computers on pit road. You heard Gabby Chavez. They were coaching him that someone was on the button. You heard the same for Graham Rahal. So the data is out, and here comes Wilson.
Justin Wilson said team morale for the entire Andretti Autosport team is up after Ryan Hunter-Reay won in Iowa. His team is going to put on a set of sticker blacks, fill them up with Sunoco fuel as he comes in as the leader. Lee?
Great stint, Justin Wilson. Boy, oh boy, not only was consistently quick, but pulled off some spectacular moves as well.
Well, and what a refreshing session for Wilson, or at least a stint, to run up front in clean air and remind himself, hey, this is what I was born to do, this is what I know I can do, and to have an opportunity as Sage Karam hits pit lane is pretty awesome. Pretty clean stop for Sage. Not quite sure what that pit time, you see 1.1, but I think the LED is broken there on the side of the car as Coletti comes through, and then here comes Hunter-Reay.
Sato exits pit lane as well. Here goes Ryan Hunter-Reay. He's already up to speed and tires up to temperature. Oh, Sage Karam. He's not going to give him an easy passage through there. Now Ryan Hunter-Reay on the push to pass straight away.
And Sage is defending with the green light blinking.
Second in the championship. Rahal's on pit lane.
Graham Rahal has just 3 push-to-passes left. His team said he's only going to use them when he's close to Juan Montoya. They're going to put on a set of sticker blacks and send him back out, Lee.
And this battle goes on. The rookie and the champ, Sage Karam versus Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Well, Sage Karam knew that he was coming out of the pits. He wasn't fully up to temperature yet on the tires. If he could defend in that one corner, he could hold off Hunter-Reay once he got tire temp. As Bourdais comes out, that's Marco Andretti, James Jakes, everybody hitting pit lane.
Simon Pagenaud was serviced as well. So it is busy. There goes Dixon, and Dixon and Bourdais have been glued together the entire race. However, it looks like Dixon may have a greater advantage this time by. So Bourdais rejoins the action.
Yeah, a good mix of tyres out there. And Pablo Montoya, of course, the points leader in the lead, coming in now.
So Wilson, who had the lead, was first to dive, followed by Rahal, then Montoya. This is going to paint the picture a little clearer here. A good stop needed by Team Penske. Let's see if they execute.
And you can hear John Boslog, the strategist, saying a turn of front wing because we're going to blacks. Everyone is going to just try to do, or at least most, just the one stint on the primary Firestone. There's the turn of front wing. Montoya is back out. Great stop. The LED display tells us 7.2 seconds as he slides back in turn 1.
Gotta go was the call for Juan Pablo Montoya. In the background is Graham Rahal. There's Wilson at the back. So advantage Montoya, advantage Rahal.
And Montoya only did about 20 laps on that stint, so he was able to short fill a little bit, slightly quicker pit stop time than a full tank of fuel. Now we'll see what he can do on on blacks, as Newgarden hits the pit lane from the lead. Let's see if he can have a clean stop this time.
Boy, he needs one.
All right, we got you. Come on down here. You're going to have a clean pit in.
Jan, he had a solid lap last time round. It was a very impressive in-lap.
Yes, in and out laps are so important. Now, they know that they've had a miscue, obviously. This is about taking your time, just no mistakes. Don't see any issues with wheel nuts, but you have to wait for power. So they didn't have a problem here. But that was a smart move. If they would have sit in, there would have been a crash.
Mark had to wait for Will Power to come in. Power did get the break. He came in earlier the first time, changed the nose cone, got the yellow to fall in his favor. Now he's hoping it stays green, and everyone else has to come in under green.
Rahal comes out behind Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden trying to get up to speed, get those tyres up to temperature as quickly as he can. Advantage to the CFH racing team.
It wasn't as bad as the wheel nut incident, but they still had a problem on pit lane, David, with the fuel probe.
Yeah.
He got sort of jammed up as he pulled out. And now Kanan's trying to hold off Montoya.
Rounded him up there. It was a 9.9
excuse me.
leading earlier. It's going to make life a little difficult for Scott Dixon here. As you may have heard David Hobbs say at the top of the show. So at the moment, Elio Castro-Neves leads for Team Penske, but his next pit stop is looming. Same for Ganassi's Tony Kanaan. The championship leader, Juan Pablo Montoya, is in a strong spot. With this event being the Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio, Honda thought it was appropriate to have a little bit of fun with one of their racing cars, the Honda Fit, by trying to fit in as many Honda IndyCar drivers as they could. Even Connor Daly got in on the act. Ryan Briscoe didn't quite make it, but they managed to squeeze in 11 IndyCar drivers into a Honda Fit, including Graham Rahal and Ryan Hunter-Reay, who are two of the taller drivers in the field.
Notice they didn't invite Sage Karam to join the fun.
I can't imagine
well,
why.
it was a Honda thing.
Well,
Chevrolet,
yeah.
you know, that's it works. Welcome back, folks, to our continuing coverage here from Mid-Ohio. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, David Hobbs is our special guest, Katie Hargett, Jan Beekes, Kevin Lee, and Robin Miller as we race lap 48. We're into the second half here at Mid-Ohio. What have you got, Kev?
The two leaders are going to come in together. They're at pit out. Elio Castro-Neves, from winning the pole in Iowa, has the preferred location, but he's going to have to go around the tires of Kanaan. But Kanaan's team will scoot away that tire and make for an easier entry for Elio Castro-Neves. Now we're going to see Kanaan just coming in. He's got an easy That is a smooth 6.5 second stop for Elio Castro-Neves. He's back out. Let's watch Kanaan. He's going to use the primary Firestone, the black tires, this down, no changes, and Kanaan in 7.4 seconds is away.
Tell you what's happening at the front of this race. As Juan Pablo Montoya inherits the race lead. Joseph Newgarden is chasing him down. Look at this. The black car in the middle there for CFH Racing. Joseph Newgarden has eyes on the championship leader and perhaps...
Yes, and in fact, he likes the car now. In the previous stint, he said he just lost overall grip. Remember, I agree with Townsend. They lost a little bit of time with the fuel probe, but most of that 2 seconds loss was because they had to wait for Will Power. There's not much you can do about that. Now, because he's got some clear track, he doesn't have to worry too much. He doesn't think about Rahal behind. He can charge forward and clean air.
Okay.
Montoya, Newgarden, and Rahal. Keep in mind that the guys, as we see Ryan Briscoe pit, keep in mind that Montoya and Rahal started 10th. And where did Rahal start from memory? Was it 12th or even further back? Yeah, Graham Rahal started 13th. So, I mean, for these guys to move on Tristan Vautier for 9th, couldn't quite get it done. And James Jakes is running in a strong 11th position in the background. So it's Montoya, Newgarden, Rahal, Wilson 4th, Power 5th, Pagenaud 6th, Castro-Neves, Dixon 7th, Castro-Neves, Vautier, and Andretti. As we go back up front. 1, 2, 3, just like that. It's Team Penske, CFH Racing, and Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing.
And your top 5 right now, all on black tires, and to borrow a term from Mike Hall, I think sort of treading water right now, just trying to maintain position, save a little fuel so you can short fill on that last stop if at all possible, and get those reds back on and then go for it.
Poor old Charlie Kimball. He's got the pace, as you can see. He's hanging in there with these guys, but of course...
About 10 or 12 more laps, I guess, until our last round of pit stops for these front runners. And let's just have a listen here to Charlie Kimball. And even as far back as Kimball is there, you can start to pick up some dirty air on the front wing. Now, he still is 2 laps down, so you can tell he's hustling. He's got to do anything he can to try to get that lap back. Currently running in 23rd position. Only guy behind him is Sato, also 2 laps down.
Just think about how painful this is for Charlie Kimball. It's a racetrack that he has been victorious at. He is a fierce fighter and racer. And as we break down the points for you, there's 53 points maximum on offer. If you grab the pole, you lead a lap, lead most laps. And Juan Pablo Montoya, who we told you about earlier in the show, went to Iowa 2 weeks ago, had his first non-finish of the year. He carried a 54-point lead into that race, and unfortunately nobody capitalized on his misfortune. He came away with a 42-point, he only lost 12 points. Here right now as they stand, we've still got a lot of this race to go, the best part of half of this race, he would grow it to a 58-point lead.
And wouldn't it be fitting for the season that he's had, because it's not as if he's pressed super hard here at Mid-Ohio passing a bunch of cars. He's just stayed out of trouble. He's had quick pace when he's had clean track, great work in the pits, and now he finds himself comfortably in the lead.
Scott Dixon continues to surge forward. He's got more positions done, and he's getting closer and closer to the front. Big picture-wise, how far out of it is he? 7.6 seconds. Now, in comparison to this guy here, Dixon has 4 laps less fuel than Juan Pablo Montoya. Race leader, championship leader, everybody's chasing this guy. But if you want to put pressure on someone and not see them buckle, it's this man. JPM isn't scared of anyone. We welcome you back to Mid-Ohio, talking IndyCar here, talking Juan Pablo Montoya, race leader, points leader. He's got about a second over Joseph Newgarden of CFH Racing, and then Graham Rahal, crowd favourite, second in the championship, sits back third. Let's check in with Kevin Lee. Kev?
Juan Pablo Montoya is now in an excellent position to be able to win this race through in the timing of the yellows. We're watching Brian Campy. He's the engineer, and on the far side of the pit stand is Josh Coley. John Boslog was telling me, yeah, we're not surprised that Juan Pablo Montoya is having a championship drive this season, but this is a new team. Brian Campy came from NASCAR, just took over mid last season, and Josh Coley is new to racing. This is his first year in racing as the data acquisition guy. He's the fuel strategist. He said it's really remarkable, John Boslog did, the strategist, how good this team has been considering it is such a new team.
And look at this, nice move here on the inside. Graham Rahal takes pretty easy and quick care of Rodolfo Gonzalez. And John Boslog is one to be able to comment about that within Team Penske. Myron, that's the gap, it's not much. 1 second between first and second, and Rahal is all over Joseph Newgarden. Where was the man who sat on the pole and dominated the early phase of this race? Scott Dixon is about 7 seconds back from the car you see on the far left. On board with Dixon. Is it possible?
And Lee, just in front of Scott Dixon, the 22 of Simon Pagenaud, teammates to Juan Pablo Montoya. And this is what we talked about earlier, the ability for Penske with a 4-car team, and this guy who's not in the championship race, Pagenaud can sort of maintain the pace, and he'll know, I can do everything I can to make Dixon try to use up his tires, David, but I'm not going to let him pass.
This is the exact scenario that we were talking about right at the top of the show. Pagenaud, I mean, this is absolutely perfect place, just in front of Dixon. Set the pace, and as we've already said, how difficult it is to overtake here, and he can just push Dixon further and further back if he so wishes.
Oh, and guess who is in front of Simon Pagenaud? Another Penske car in Will Power. So there is a roadblock ahead of the Target Chip Ganassi Chevrolet.
Roger Power is not probably going to be giving too much help because he feels he's got a chance for the championship as well, but of course if Montoya wins his race, that's pretty much shot.
And this is where it gets a little tricky for Pagenaud, is that he can't go so slow as Gonzalez because that'll allow Dixon to get by. Yeah. So Pagenaud actually needs to make quick work here. He might do it coming to turn 2. Let's see if he pops out.
At all, his teammate at Dale Coyne Racing is Tristan Vautier.
And he'll have to go 29 laps, guys, on fuel. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do that. He'll have to run very lean to make it to the end.
And Townsend, I agree, with 29 laps, you can certainly do that, but you can't go, as they say, full gas. But you take the opportunity by pitting now. If there's a caution, oh, but now there's a problem on the right rear. That slows his pit stop, unfortunately, but They're playing with an 8-second pit stop here, hoping if there happens to be a caution before the leaders pit, that's the way you get the advantage.
Luca Filippi, the remainder of the race, has not gone the way that he would hope. Certainly hasn't gone the way that it started. Back up front, and that fight between Pagenaud trying to get past Gonzalez, who was not making life easy. That's what 1, 2, 3, 4 looks like. Justin Wilson at the top of your frame. And then we're keeping a watch for like it's quite a distance between Will Power and Simon Pagenaud. We ride with the third place man.
Who is definitely quicker than Joseph Newgarden in front of him.
Great job, doing smooth.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it stays green like this, this last pit stop is going to be amazing in terms of out and in lap pace. Be so critical, especially on your outlet.
Oh, Joseph Newgarden with his hands full there, coming out, over and down into Thunder Valley. This has been an interesting stint from these guys on the primary black Firestone tires, getting ready for their final stint.
And I wonder if anybody in the top 4 here, top 5, is going to take a chance and be the first to stop and maybe just try to have to run a little bit lean and try to get the track position and defend.
The old saying, you want to be that first to stop to get it home. First of the front runners to stop. But who's going to blink first?
Well, we know that the Penske guys are going to have some of the best stops. And as I said, if you got a 1/10 of a second between these cars and you lose 2 seconds in a pit stop, it takes you 20 laps to get it back.
Looks like Sato's picked up another issue there. His left rear wheel pod askew. I'm not sure if that's for a contact. He comes to pit lane to get that fixed.
That's aerodynamically unsound.
Takuma Sato has had a tough day, not the kind of day you want when it's your 100th start. You could even tell just by the crew body language there. He was on pit road for a long time.
We're out of parts.
They don't have any rear wing left.
Yes, you heard Larry Foyt say we're out of parts. Of course, they had that damage early on. It took a long time to repair it. And boy, not the day he was looking for. And Scott Dixon's laid out.
All right, the master at saving fuel is the first of the top 7 to come into pit.
Scott Dixon making what should be his final stop. He's going to go to scuffed alternate Firestones. Sunoco fuel. He's going to need some help, and he's going to need some really quick times and clean track. Let's see where he cycles back in.
When he raced from last to first last year and saved fuel doing it, as Ryan Hunter-Reay dives to his box, he mystified people. We'll see if he can do it again.
And you talk about Chevrolet for Dixon. Of course, this is a Honda for Ryan Hunter-Reay, and he goes right alongside Gabby Chavez. Says he's clear out again. These are those that are want to be the first, as you said, Lee, to make the last stop.
Well, and the risk now for Montoya, Newgarden, Rahal is if a yellow falls, Dixon's right back in the game. But it has to happen in the next lap or two.
Exactly. If you weren't with us a little earlier, Scott Dixon was dominating this race, and a yellow came just when the man on screen, Juan Pablo Montoya, stopped, and it was to the disadvantage of Dixon. Katie?
Justin Wilson led his first laps of 2015 on that last stint. They're going to go for reds for this last stint to get as much grip as possible. Lee?
Justin Wilson has had quite the day in the Andretti Autosport Honda. Will it be converted into a result that pays some big points? Tony Kanaan's time to stop for the final time.
Tony Kanaan has 1 sticker tire, 1 sticker alternate. You're allowed to replace one if one's damaged. The rest are scuffed reds for Tony Kanaan, making his final stop of the day. And he, like Dixon, is going to hope for a yellow very soon. That's the only way he's going to get back up to the front.
A little bit of an issue there for Tony Kanaan on the right rear. You could see that the fuel was done before the right rear was finished, and David, it puts such a tremendous amount of pressure on the guys on pit lane. The wheel nuts, any movement as Sage Karam spins. Sage Karam backwards in turn 5, full course yellow as Rahal's on pit lane.
The rookie facing the wrong direction, and Graham Rahal beat the pit closed in.
But Montoya didn't.
Clear out, yeah, go.
Could be a major turning point.
We gotta push.
Major turning point in the complexion of this race.
Wow, wow, what an incredible piece of luck.
Well, the skid marks tell part of the story there for Sage Karam. How did he get in that position, though?
All right, nice job. You're being to the blend line. Nice job. Full course yellow, full course yellow. Save all the fuel you can. 6-8.
So a huge gain for Scott Dixon. And coincidence, guys, that it's his teammate that spins.
And a massive turn for this guy too, Graham Rahal. So the whole Matro safety crew quickly there for our third full course caution to rescue Sage Karam. Never really been in the hunt or the fight today, Sage, for a significant position. Keep in mind, coming off his very first IndyCar Series podium in Iowa 2 weeks ago.
Yes. So,
wow, this is going to be neat.
So Townsend Bell's devious mind is already...
Listen, I just said coincidence. I didn't say anything.
You didn't say anything.
It's not a deviant ounce in my body.
Massive day for Graham Rahal. His home state, his love for The Ohio State University, proudly on display with his gloves and his helmet. And the two guys we've just shown, from Graham Rahal to Sage Karam.
In front of you has to pit. You don't. You're the leader effectively when this thing goes green. Wells is behind you. Pagenaud and Briscoe. Save me all the fuel you can. Save me all the fuel you can.
Graham Rahal getting the picture a little clearer, saying everybody ahead of you must stop. Yeah, just getting back to the Rahal Sage Karam thing. Those two guys had some harsh words to say to each other yesterday after qualifying.
Well, Graham felt strongly, and I think for good reason, that Karam held him up during his qualifying run. Sage defended himself, said, hey, I went off track. I was trying to protect my car. And that's Sage Karam coming in for his last stop. Now let's see Graham Rahal here as we watch for the pit close light. I think is going to be right there, and he's already committed to pit lane at this point. And he was good. I don't see any light there, so he should be clear to pit lane. A very, very lucky break for Graham Rahal.
That's what we were talking about a little earlier. Qualifying yesterday.
And there's Sage limping back to the pits, but he's right on the racing line through the left-hander. He leaves the right-hander open, but that was, I don't know, got to be 4/10, half a second to Graham Rahal's quick lap, and that put Graham well down in the field. But he has it back now, thanks to Sage Karam.
Stopped Rahal advancing to the next group. All right, the top runners are in. Montoya, Newgarden, Power, they all come. Castro Neves. It's busy on pit lane.
Joseph Newgarden does not have to worry about Will Power this time. So far, everything's smooth. They give him some wing, and he's underway at the same time as Will Power. Kevin, the timing of the yellow taken and it given. This time it took it from Juan Pablo Montoya. He beats everybody up pit road. Will Power second, Newgarden third. But I think they're only going to cycle in around 11th or so in this race. With Rahal, he should be taking over the lead.
Indeed, he does. So too up there in a
that didn't help us there.
very good position is Justin Wilson, Simon Pagenaud, Scott Dixon.
And how hard is it going to be for Dixon to get around Pagenaud on this restart?
Very, very difficult.
It'll be like a brick wall.
And with that, guys, Montoya's lead as it stands now is only 11 points. If they finish in this order, Graham Rahal only 11 points out of the championship lead.
From 42 today. Things are to change in the closing stanza of this race, but that's how it sets up, that's for sure.
Yes, and you know what's so interesting is as soon as Townsend said, since Scott Dixon has pitted, it's only a few laps. If there's a caution, it's going to make a big difference. I think, Townsend, that the Rahal team was listening to you. They knew they needed to stop, and it was the perfect timing. Juan Pablo Montoya is thinking, wow, I thought I had this one in the bag. But Mid-Ohio still has some laps to run. And Graham Rahal in the catbird seat.
That is just one of the super places to watch here at Mid-Ohio as we welcome you back to the Indy 200. Watching them come down the back straight into turn 4 and then climb the hill into 5, and where madness begins heading down to 6. What a dramatic turn for Ohio native Graham Rahal. Championship contender, pitted at the right time, and this was the reason for that most recent yellow. Sage Karam.
So kind of an awkward spin there, David. I mean, he hits the apex curb, which is pretty rare at this track, that hard, and then seemed like he gave it a footful of throttle, but nonetheless, we're getting ready for a restart.
Now, Graham Rahal's got to watch out he's not overtaken by Justin Wilson here, who's driving for, of course, the Andretti team. Has absolutely nothing to lose.
Ready to go. Is this the restart that's going to give Graham Rahal a chance at winning this race and perhaps this championship? Look further back. Here comes Pagenaud. Simon Pagenaud wanted that inside line. Justin Wilson will go around. Dixon in the mix there.
Now, this is where you got to keep cool. Very, very cool. Graham Rahal's got to really keep cool here. A little pouring into turn 6.
And that was Gabby Chavez, I think, pushed off wide. Let's see if he stayed on track. He did.
The last thing he wants to do is DNF, get taken off at this stage.
It was suspension failure in Iowa that sent him crashing into the wall. And after being in such a prominent position early on, yes, he was gifted something. Right time, right place after that pit stop from the early yellow. Now JPM really has to grind and work it.
And just watching the hands from Juan Pablo Montoya, I don't see a guy that's pressing hard, David. To your point, I think he's just trying to survive, finish the race, get the points, don't put the car at risk.
He is not going to do any silly moves here. If he can get by people, he will, but he's not going to push the issue. I'm amazed that they got away with that restart. Because so much is at stake now for these guys.
Well, you saw how hard Simon Pagenaud was pushing to make some moves, and he knows if he can get ahead of Graham Rahal, that's going to help Montoya's points advantage. Right now, Graham Rahal would only be 10 points back. That's Kimball's off.
Kimball and Coletti, and there was a coin car involved in that as well. No yellow, cars keep rolling. Poor old Charlie Kimball has been in the thick of it today. This replay's going to tell us more.
On board with Charlie Kimball. And that's Briscoe. Goes to the outside of Briscoe. They're going to touch here.
That was a pretty severe clout.
And Coletti just had to take evasive action to go through the grass and avoid the contact. On board with Briscoe.
Well, Briscoe was over. He couldn't get over any further. His right wheels were already on the curb, so he couldn't make any more room, really. His last 19 laps are going to be pretty fraught.
Here we go.
And how about this? The Ohio boy pulling away at his home track and closing the lead in the championship down to 10 points again as they run right now. And look at this, we've got push to pass, we think. We think Graham's out of push to pass, and we know Wilson's got some left. We just don't know how many.
But I tell you what, Graham Rahal on that last stint, he was obviously quicker than Joseph Newgarden, who was in front of him, and I think his car is handling really well at the moment. He is just pulling away.
Scott Dixon hasn't been able to do anything about it.
You know what to do.
Simon Pagenaud there in that third spot. Justin Wilson is just cruising, doing a beautiful job in second. Speaking about our race leader, Graham Rahal, and the Rahal family, his famous father, Bobby, I'll tell you about a really good cause. Every year here, now this was the 4th annual, in Columbus, Ohio, they have the Rally at the Ranch. They honor different drivers each year. This year it was Bobby Unser. But what happens is it's a charity deal where they benefit the Buckeye Ranch and its program, which helps youths and families with mental and behavioral and substance abuse issues. They raised over $300,000. So congratulations, Bobby, Graham, everybody involved for such a worthy cause. Quick reminder about Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. Just go to shophonda.com and you could be in the mix to start a Verizon IndyCar Series race and perhaps even share that 2-seater with legends like Mario Andretti.
And what a great day it would be for Honda in the Honda 200 at Mid-Ohio here, where they've got such a huge amount of manufacturing capacity in Ohio. How sweet it would be for them to come first and second.
Yeah.
Racing lap 74 of 90. Graham Rahal came out straight away before this weekend and said, we need another win. We need another win. Very dry, drier than Will, but very, very funny.
Well, Will's pretty dry.
You ride with everybody else from the state of Ohio aboard this number 15 Rahal Letterman Lanigan Steak and Shake Honda. Graham Rahal, the local lad, can he do it at home? Well, there's so many great stories in sport about multi-generation families and their sporting accomplishments, and the Rahal family is that. 30 years ago, Bobby Rahal, victorious here at Mid-Ohio, driving for Jim Truman. And that is Graham, the current race leader, Bobby's son, and Debbie's son, holding Graham's booties that he used to wear, that she would put on him when they would come here to watch Bobby race. So now, if you are unfamiliar with the story of this year, or one of the stories within the Rahal Letterman Lanigan camp is Bobby Rahal said, I'm going to take myself off the radio. I'm not going to be on the timing stand anymore. You know, maybe that might be one of the things that's not working here with my son. So I'm going to let somebody else take care of that, and I'm just going to enjoy watching the race. I'll be in the stands, I might be on top of the grandstand with spotters, I might go out on a corner at a road course, and that's where Bobby is.
Yeah. Here
today. He's not anywhere near his own team in pit lane. He's just watching.
The results have been so good, Lee, that at this point you have to think it's superstition. He's going to stay there, and let's not forget that NBC's feature at New Orleans with the Voodoo with Graham Rahal. Yeah. Ever since then, things have been on a tear.
Oh,
Kimball again.
Is this going to be a late race yellow, or can Charlie get it going?
Oh, God, no,
10 laps to go. Is Kimball out of power?
And he's out of power. He's given the signal. I need to get a start here in the
caution.
Oh, my gosh. Talk about it's not over till it's over.
10 to go. It's the last thing Rahal needed. He had more than 3 seconds advantage over Justin Wilson. What's happened here to Charlie Kimball? Coming up on one of the coin cars. And it's Gonzalez.
And that is the exact same situation that Kimball had earlier with, was it Coletti? No,
Briscoe.
Thank you. And I'm afraid that Charlie just needs to give a little bit more room. It's plenty wide to run too wide there.
I think Gonzalez moved over a little bit to start with, then he'd moved back, but it was too late.
Well, he's at the apex, so he's on the natural line,
exactly.
I guess.
There's little you can do about it.
Now, it's the second full course caution from a Ganassi car. We understand the previous incident with the number 8 is under review after the race.
Yeah, race control and the race director and IndyCar will look at the Sage Karam situation. Meanwhile, one of his teammates, Charlie Kimball, back going again. Quick break and back to finish this off. Setting up for a fascinating and exciting run to the checkered flag here at Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. And we were just telling you the story about Bobby Rahal, his son here on camera, Graham Rahal, and how Bobby doesn't stand on the timing stand anymore. Well, when you're the team owner, you still get to have a radio wherever you are around the course. Have a listen.
Dad, don't worry about giving me updates unless someone's there.
Copy. I copy.
Car's just now coming to me. Getting better every lap.
In short, I got this, Dad.
Well, I think that what's going on is that they're using Bobby as a spotter.
Right.
But only on an as-needed basis. So I think Bobby's gotten a little too excited, started giving gaps and things like that to second place. And Graham's like, hey, if somebody's there, that's all I want to hear.
Look at the crowd. Look at the acknowledgement. And if Rahal can pull this off, a Rahal winning at Mid-Ohio. It's just meant to be.
Oh my gosh, I mean, poor old Debbie, she was wringing the life out of those shoes before.
And then further back in the field, let's not forget that you've got Montoya, who has to protect against another restart. And if he loses more positions, David, this championship is right back almost dead even.
And he's got Newgarden behind him, who will certainly be trying hard. And right behind, well,
and Will Power.
Yeah.
Who's not giving Montoya any favors on championship points.
Reason for this most recent caution, Charlie Kimball colliding with Rodolfo Gonzalez down at turn 4. So it is the 4th full course yellow. 4 cautions for 15 laps in this race. A race where Graham Rahal started 13th. Wasn't in the mix early on. An early yellow aided him to get to the front in addition to Juan Pablo Montoya. However, it was a significant call from the team to pit at the right time, and yes, perhaps a lucky time, with the third yellow that put him in the lead of this race.
Here's the points as they run, and another thing to keep in mind here, Wilson has 2 push-to-passes left, and you can see him. The green light is blinking on his roll hoop.
Ready to go, racing to the finish here at Mid-Ohio. Is Justin Wilson going to spoil the party? He goes out wide, it's 2 Hondas, and Wilson takes the lead momentarily. Rahal hangs tough. Fights back, up and over the hill at turn 5. Rahal leads to the roar of the crowd.
And Graham Rahal staying true to his word. We need to win another race this season to have a chance in the championship, and he is on his way right now.
And Justin Wilson there had the push to pass to get by him, but he didn't make life difficult for Graham Rahal at all, because he's been brought in by Honda to help Honda, which he has done obviously quite a lot, but he's not going to really screw the party up by taking the lead driver out.
Well, you know what it's like, David. You get to the brake zone there, side by side. Yeah. It's a game of bravery.
Focus forward, 6 laps to go.
And I think Graham Rahal said to himself, there is no way you're out-braking me for the win at my home track.
And there's no way you're going to go around the outside of me, and I think Justin Wilson realized that too, because at that point, Rahal could easily just ease him off.
On that first flying lap, Rahal put almost a second on Justin Wilson from turn 4.
Wow, look at that gap grow.
Well, he was picking up nearly a second. I mean, when they had the caution came out, he was nearly 5 seconds in front.
On a day yesterday where Honda was locked out of the Firestone Fast 6 in qualifying, Chevrolets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's Honda 1 and 2 at the moment. Here's the restart.
So you can see the green PP flash and push to pass active on Justin Wilson. Graham Rahal had used all of his, but it was all about the brake zone.
And credit to Justin Wilson for racing fair and racing classy.
Oh, absolutely.
He didn't try and move over and squeeze on Rahal. That was 2 very professional drivers paying each other respect.
And Graham didn't panic and didn't overdo it, didn't outbrake himself, or they both kept their heads. That was a bit of good driving by both those guys.
And I think Graham Rahal's done that better than anybody this season, racing tight and close without ever having contact, it seems.
Boy, what a year. He got his 2nd victory, career victory, earlier this year at Auto Club Speedway Fontana, underneath some controversial circumstances because he wasn't penalized for a pit lane infringement. In the end, maybe it didn't happen because he had such a strong car that it didn't matter.
Do not talk to the finish, says Graham Rahal. I don't blame him, David. I'm leading. I've got a 2-second lead as Wilson goes wide there.
Boy, locked up there, left a bit of smoke.
Following on from Rahal Speedway. This is the year that Graham Rahal will remember forever. He's got those Buckeye stickers on his helmet, 18 of them representing his 18 IndyCar podiums. Today is the 18th IndyCar start for his father's team.
And that last lap, 1.5 seconds faster than anybody in the field. Graham Rahal, goodbye, I'm out of here.
Well, he said to his dad, didn't he? The car's coming back, it's getting better every lap, and it certainly looks like it.
4 to go.
For Montoya. Newgarden failed to capitalize on Montoya on that start.
4 laps to go, 3.5 really. Just want to clarify the point, 18th start at Mid-Ohio. Beg your pardon, I didn't finish off that point. So points as they run now in the closing laps. Montoya would lose 32 points today from a 42-point advantage to 10 if Rahal stays in the lead and wins this race. With 2 weekends remaining, Pocono and Sonoma.
And double points.
And don't forget who won the last big oval race at Fontana, as you said, Lee, Graham Rahal. So he's going to go to Pocono full of confidence if he can hang on here.
He's out 3 seconds over Justin Wilson.
And I just can't get over the fact that Graham's previous best finish 5th at Mid-Ohio.
I'll tell you what, he went around that turn 2 then beautifully, right on the inside curb, which is what you need to rotate the car, but it's so difficult to keep it there. But his car is handling really, really well at the moment.
If you're wondering where our championship leader is, Juan Pablo Montoya is 12th. Look at the crowd loving seeing this steak and shake machine for Rahal Letterman Lanigan out in front in Ohio. For Scott Dixon, Mr. Mid-Ohio, was the victim of a yellow coming at the wrong time. He runs fourth. He's about 5 seconds behind Graham Rahal. The order is Rahal, Wilson, Pagenaud, Luca Filippi in 7th, Underray 8th, Hawksworth and Munoz. After a disappointing start to the weekend, if Carlos Munoz can drive to 10th for Andretti Autosport, that'll be some relief for him as well.
That'll be a great result for Filippi and for Hawksworth too.
For Joseph Newgarden, who was very much in the mix earlier in this race, he's down in 14th position. Will Power in 15th. Elio Castro Neves 16th.
And Bourdais, Sebastian Bourdais, who made such a fantastic start, qualified on the second row, he's down in 16th.
Just the way that these yellows have fallen today, Townsend, have really, you've either been the lottery winner or you've lost your job. It's been unfortunate.
Well, we said it at the start, but Graham Rahal capitalized on the opportunity, and I think more than anything, what he's going to love about this final stint is his ability to demonstrate to everybody, hey, I was fast enough all along and I deserve to be here. And much like the result at Fontana, you could argue several things, but you can't argue his pace as the white flag comes out for Graham Rahal.
1 lap to go. 2.2 miles for the 26-year-old American Graham Rahal. His dad won here 30 years ago. You remember calling David Donahue across the line at the Rolex 24 at Daytona 30 years after his late father Mark won. It means so much. And I remember here, not so long ago, a couple of years ago, Bobby saying, do you know what? Everyone always calls Graham a second-generation racer. He said, you know, my dad raced. Graham is a third-generation racer. It is in the Rahal family blood. But this young man is a sports guy. He's not just a car guy. He loves football. He loves the Ohio State University. He's a terrific golfer. He's an all-round sportsman. He's an all-round athlete. But today could be the most memorable day in his life. A Rahal wins at Mid-Ohio. It's Graham's turn. Graham Rahal victorious at his home track. It tightens the championship up because Montoya is in a traffic jam. He comes across the line in 11th position. It's a day that belongs to Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing and the Rahal family.
Boy, what a result. Just absolutely storybook. Well done, Graham. You really deserve that. Mum can now relax.
Graham, big save, please, big save. You gotta save that motor. We need it.
Save that motor. No donuts.
Don't do anything crazy.
And tremendous pride on the faces of that whole Rahal team, and they deserve it. A one-car team going against the big boys.
Kev?
Graham's mom, Debbie Rahal, is celebrating. Just a hug for the engineer, Eddie Jones. She went over to talk to Rico Dahl. And this is the first time you've seen Graham win in an IndyCar, Debbie.
It is. I was in Greece with my youngest daughter when he won in St. Pete. And then I wasn't at Fontana because I was taking care of all my grandchildren. 3 of them, but yes, it's very exciting. I'm very happy for him.
We didn't want to jinx you and talk to you during the race. We waited until he took the checkers. What is this feeling like? You know what this means to Graham.
I think particularly because there has been so much press this week and so much excitement, and I've never seen so many people here, so it's a great crowd to cheer him on, but it means a lot. It's a hometown race, and for Bobby it was always very special, and I know for Graham it is.
Go meet your son at Victory Lane. Congratulations. Debbie Rahal, they're celebrating at home with Graham.
He was asked to look after the motor, but I'm not sure he is.
Well, I don't know how you contain the enthusiasm in a situation like this. He deserves to line up some rubber. Why not? Let it go.
Between his first and second victories, he had to wait something like 135 races. Now he's got 2 wins in a matter of a handful of races.
And how about this, guys? 4 American wins in the last 5 races. There's something going on in this IndyCar series.
A little bit of a renaissance period for Americans in IndyCar. And the majority of them are young. Exciting times in the Verizon IndyCar series. Graham Rahal. This is the stuff you dream about. You wish for it, you hope for it to happen, you dream about it happening. Well, Graham, it's no longer a dream. You've done it.
Boy, he's closing in on that championship now. Just a couple of races to go at only 10 points. But it's still going to be very, very tough. Montoya, the current leader, he'll be ruining the day. Looked like he had it made in the lead. And then the pit stop sequence just went wrong.
The hand language there suggests that the team is talking about the Sage Karam spin.
And guess what? On the very last lap, Rahal took the most laps led and got an extra point. So that gap now goes to 9 points on the very last lap. He led 23 laps versus Scott Dixon's 22 and gets that bonus point, bringing it to a single-digit lead. Montoya, the pressure is on going to those last two races. Now this is going to be quite the celebration. Watch for this. Watch for this. Storybook stuff. The hometown kid winning at the local track for this huge Ohio crowd. Nice work. Nice work. Graham Rahal with the Ohio State gloves and helmet. He's done it for the Buckeye State. And there's Bobby.
Graham Rahal wins at his hometown, takes a drink of a Steak and Shake milkshake, and he's able to add another Buckeye sticker to that Ohio State helmet. Graham, it was such an organic moment as Graham drove around the track to this hometown crowd. We're going to give him a minute just to take a sip of that Steak and Shake milkshake and get cooled down after that amazing run. Graham, as you drove around the Mid-Ohio track here and you saw all those fans giving you a standing ovation.
And there's his mum. There's his mum, Debbie. Think about everything a mother goes through with their children, and for Debbie to see her son's first IndyCar win, or her first time being there for what is now his third IndyCar win. Dad Bobby on the other side. What a day for the Rahal family. Unbelievable. Look at that. The local papers will be full of that young American tomorrow.
Yeah, the headlines in the Columbus papers tomorrow are going to be very, very exciting for him. And as he said, you know, other than the Indy 500, this is the race he would like to win most of all. And a huge crowd did turn out today. Did they all come to see him? Probably not, but there's still in all a massive turnout here at Mid-Ohio.
All right, let's hear from Juan Montoya. Jan's there.
Body language there, everything.
Well, the gap, the walls are closing in on Juan Montoya. Single-digit lead. He started the day with a 42-point lead. That guy there changed the complexion of this championship dramatically. The lead is now just 9 as we head to Pocono in a couple of weeks' time. An oval and a road course to go to determine who will be the 2015 Verizon IndyCar Series champion. Could it be young American Graham Rahal up against the veteran Juan Pablo Montoya? You're watching CNBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Dry Fire, the fire-resistant base layer choice of Graham Rahal and the new breed of industrial athletes.